Jim Knowles makes his Ohio State debut as defensive coordinator, and it's a successful one, a 21-10 victory over Notre Dame that was predicated mostly on the defensive performance. Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Stephen Means and Doug Lesmerises. And, Doug, we had been hearing Ryan Day and Knowles himself and the players, the word that kept coming into this game was confidence. And I thought you saw confidence in maybe the first play call of the game where Knowles is bringing a blitz off the edge. It didn't work. Notre Dame succeeded into it.
It was they confidently had a huge failure to open the game.
But what did they do? I thought they righted themselves right after that, hold Notre Dame to a field goal, only give up 7 more points, shut them out in the second half. This game, this was a little bit of a backwards way for Ohio State to win compared to what they have done in the last couple of years. And where in the years past, it was the offense kind of blowing people out or being prolific and hoping the defense gives them that chance to win. And tonight it was the other way around.
Defensive line played well. Back seven got downhill, right? Like Ronnie Hickman on the attack. Steel Chambers on the attack. Lathan Ransom on the attack, right? That's a reflection of the confidence, right? That they know what they want. They're diagnosing and getting after it. I think when Ohio State fans over the years have gotten most frustrated with this defense, it feels like they're reading and reacting to everything. Like, let me bounce in my spot and kind of wait for the guy to get to me, and then I'll make a tackle. They were getting after Notre Dame at times. Michael Mayer would go out in a route, or Tyler Buckner would try to run, and there'd be like little Ohio State silver bullets going at those guys. And I think I thought this is important, I think. Josh Proctor started, missed a tackle, and didn't play again. And Lathan Ransom took his job, and I'm not sure he's giving it back, and that is something. Now, we know that Jim Knowles loves Lathan Ransom, but it was not an injury issue because I double-checked with Jim Knowles, and they just put in the other guy because he was playing better. Now, maybe it's hot hand and Josh Proctor starts that week, but that's all, like, fans, everybody tries hard. I think fans like that. Put in the guy, I don't know, do your job, and if you don't do your job, we'll put in the next guy. So there was some stuff here. This was a defense on the attack, and I think fans are very happy.
Yeah, Knowles said after the game, the thing he loves about Lathan Ransom is he just diagnoses a play and he goes and takes care of it. And that may sound really simplistic, but I think the way that he talks about this, the way other defensive coaches talk about it, that's not a common thing. It's rare sometimes, and they love it when they can find guys to do that. And Ransom had a big game tonight. I think it was 7 tackles, 9 tackles, 2 sacks for Tommy Eichenberg. The aggressive nature, though, we saw come through in a couple ways, and we finally got to see the jack. We finally got to see Jack play the jack, and Jim Knowles thought that made the biggest impact in the run game.
He also said that it was pretty basic today, and he did that on purpose. So let's continue to watch the jack evolve, and maybe one day it'll be a Leo, king of the jungle, all that fun stuff. My favorite thing, and Doug, you kind of alluded to it, this team knows who its best players are. Whether it's on the defensive line, whether it's at linebacker, or whether it's in the back end. Last year at this time, we saw a lot of rotations, but it wasn't from strength. It was because they had no idea what they had because they had a lot of inexperience. This year, there were times out there when the defensive line was all sophomores, and Mike Hall had a heck of a day. And we've been hearing about him for weeks. I mean, you drove the bus for him, and then the bus left. We can't even get on it now because Nathan has locked the doors and left off with it, but. We saw the sophomores on the defensive line. Cam Brown and Denzel Perk played every meaningful snap at corner. We saw, as you mentioned, Lathan Ransom basically took Josh Proctor's job today. Cameron Martinez worked it a little bit at nickel, but it was basically Tanner, and Ronnie Hickman didn't come off the field. While at linebacker, it was basically Tommy Eichenberg, Steel Chambers, and Cody Simon. No other linebackers played. And so that's the refreshing thing for me is this team, one, they know who their best players are. They're not playing the loyalty game. They're going with the guys that are their best players, and those guys played today, and they all played well.
I drove a figurative bus for my call. I don't have a I don't have a side gig with Coda to get me through the week. But the run defense, I mean, that was what Jim Knowles was brought here to do was fix this run defense first and foremost. It was what cost them the Oregon game last year. It was what cost them the Michigan game. And tonight they pretty much stifled Notre Dame on the run. They forced Notre Dame to have to win the game through the air. Notre Dame made some big plays, but not enough. 21-10 is the final score. Much more about this at Buckeye Talk. Get that wherever you can find podcasts. And come back to cleveland.com/OSU all week. Lots of news, lots of analysis coming to you all week from this gang.